of people will say, well, can't I just eat a good diet and get everything I need? I wish we could, but the majority of, and I know we have farmers in the audience, and they will tell you the majority of the farmland out there is very depleted in nutrients. You know, and they're dumping a lot. What is it, 800,000 tons of Roundup on it? Okay, that's a lot of chemical. So the problem with the food, even though it looks big, is it's genetically modified. It's doused in pesticides. It's sprayed with bromine when it's in the warehouses, and fungicides. So, you know, it's a toxic soup, and it's depleting your body of all of these precious, you know, enzymes. And enzymes, you know, their headquarters, or what makes them work, is a circuitry that's run by cofactors. That's minerals. Minerals are the electrical cations and anions. It's the electrical system of your body. That's the engine inside of these enzymes. And unfortunately, you know, Roundup or glyphosate is a chelator. The word chelate in Greek is claw. See the claw? It grabs onto these precious little minerals in the enzymes and deactivates them. Okay?
What about organic?
Pardon?
What about organic then?
Organics are, of course, to have some of these organic farms, they're limited in what they can do, and they don't always have the nutrient content that we want them to have, but they're heading in the right directions. They have to let their property sit for like 15 years. They have to do everything manually. They, you know, can't use the pesticides and the herbicides. And so many of them are in transitional, but unless they're feeding their soil, you know, they're not going to have the nutrients that they need to have a really nutritious, you know, product at the end. And that's the key. You know, farming is a lot like, you know, taking care of your body. And it's your body is only going to grow. You know, for instance, if you change the terrain of cancer, which, you know, cancer grows in an oxygen-deprived, acid environment. So if you change the soil of your body so it's oxygen-rich and nutritious, you're not going to grow cancer. You don't catch cancer. It's not, you know, something. You know, it's just your environment is going to either allow it or not. We all have cancer cells. Our body is killing them every day. But if your soil is, you know, ripe for growing it, it's going to grow. So it's called terrain. Change the terrain, and it can't grow. Okay. All right. Amino acids in the blend for sulfation, MSM, cysteine, which is another amino acid, and alpha lipoic acid. Another terrific nutrient that is chelates out the bad heavy metals. It protects the body from free radicals. It's great for blood sugar control. There's a lot of wonderful things about alpha lipoic. Just one thing I always mention to people, it makes your urine smell like asparagus. So don't call me in the middle of the night and say, what's wrong? So I've told you in advance. I've had someone call me before.
Does that mean that there's a lot of it in asparagus?
Yeah, it's aspartic acid, yes.
Oh,
Just like what's in asparagus.
Oh, sorry, I didn't.
No, that's a great question. All right.
Lots of asparagus.
Yes, asparagus is good for you. Okay. Now, Preventium is just a brand name for potassium deglucarate and artichoke leaf. Okay, acetylation, pantothenic acid, which is B5. This is also great adrenal support, magnesium and B6. And then the methylation, folate, not folic acid. It's not the same. Folic acid is synthetic. Folic acid will deplete your body of natural folate. So, enriched, whatever product out there, is not enriched. And vitamin B12. Okay, so again, if you're going to do a formulation that's actually going to purify, detoxify, and cleanse, it needs to have all of these components in it so that it can do the job in every pathway for all the toxins. Okay, so very important there.
B12 or B12?
B.
B, that's what
Vitamin B.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
sorry.
She was testing you.
Yeah.
There we go, got it. That's an engine.
An engine.
Okay. Great. That's important. Okay, and some other great components to be in the formula too. We hear about quercetin. Quercetin helps reduce histamine. Again, histamine in the gut is going to punch holes into this membrane. Histamine is also a neurotransmitter. So quercetin is, and keep in mind the gut-brain connection. You know, you're seeing all of this immune reaction. That's called the GALT, gut-associated. I think I wrote it down here. Anyone see it on there?
Yes, for gold.
GALT, sorry.
Oh.
This is what happens. Cortisol blocks your brain from working, and that cortisol is your stress hormone. So let's leave it. The GALT, lymphatic system. Sorry, gut-associated lymphatic. And someone can help me out with the T when you find it. It's not system, but the reason is 70% of your immune system is in your gut. So if you're not taking care of your gastrointestinal tract, you cannot fend off disease. Also, 70% of serotonin is made in your gut. Does anyone know what serotonin is?
You feel good.
Yeah, the feel-good neurotransmitter. Okay, so there's why it's called the gut-brain connection. If your gastrointestinal tract is upset, not doing its job, under attack, you are going to be depressed. That's a given. Because you're not going to be able to make the serotonin, which keeps you balanced and keeps you functioning. So, very important. Right, so that's what we're talking about, the quercetin, because there's a lot of neurotransmitters that are made in your gastrointestinal tract. Ligands, not lectins. Lectins are bad, ligands are good. Ligands from things like flaxseed help with transit time. They also help increase sex hormone binding globulin, which is important. This is your backup reserves for testosterone. Also helps the body balance the right estrogens. So there's a balance between E2 and E16. You know, there's bad estrogens that promote cancer, and there's healthier estrogens. So the ligands help the healthier estrogen balance. So that's why they're important. And then natural anti-inflammatory herbs. The most powerful one you're reading a lot about is curcumin. Very, very powerful. Ginger and rutin. Okay, so that's the formula for the best, purification, detoxification, cleanse that you can have. It's hitting every single point that there is. So that's what you would want to do to, do it upright. All right. Now, just a little bit more on wheat. I have some statistics listed here. For instance, if you start a child within the first 3 months on a cereal, primarily wheat, you have increased their chance of food sensitivities by 400%. That's huge. 50% of gluten intolerant individuals show gut symptoms. Only 50%. You could be gluten intolerant and never have a stomach ache. But this could be going on. This can all be going on still because you're gluten intolerant. And again, I will say, because of the way our farming, manufacturing, the hybridization of wheat, the whole increase of the lectins to increase the protein, that if you're not gluten sensitive now, you will be. It's a matter of time, unfortunately. So, and the statistic too is celiac. Now that's the far end spectrum of someone who is gluten sensitive. A celiac will have an episode, with one bite of something with gluten in it. So gluten intolerance, even, if you are gluten intolerant, again, once a month of eating, well, I'm just going to cheat a little bit. It's just, on birthdays. It's just, you're going to have an episode. You won't feel it, but it's going to be affecting you. And some of the statistics show here, 8% of migraines, and these are, debilitating migraines. 8% of migraines, 15% of ADHD, 12% of mental illnesses, schizophrenia, bipolarism, and 20% of autoimmune diseases, including type 1 diabetes, are all attributed to gluten intolerance. Now, all of this, again, when you get leukocytes coming to any area of the body, like in autoimmune disease, that leukocytes is inflammation. What comes with it is pus and cytokines and H2O2, hydrogen peroxide. And you know what hydrogen peroxide, as far as what it does, what it burns. Can you imagine you've got hydrogen peroxide now, in your blood vessels? That's very irritating. So when you're getting an attack going on in your blood vessels, now you've got holes in your plumbing, your vascular system. So what is your body's response to patch these holes? Who's the bricklayer in your body? Cholesterol. Exactly. So your body says, oh, it's a hole, get the bricklayers. Okay, so they start laying down, and then there's another attack, more inflammation. Oh, get the bricklayers. Let's say some more. Okay, now there's one up here. Keep springing the leaks. More bricklayers. Okay, now what happened? It plaqued. Stroke. Now you get ischemia. Is it the cholesterol's fault? Is cholesterol the enemy? No, it's just doing its job. You talk to some people, you'd think they want you to have zero cholesterol.
Exactly.
What happens if you have zero cholesterol? You don't function, It is, you get cholesterol, which then makes progesterone, which then makes testosterone, makes estrogen. You get rid of this guy, your testosterone is going to be in the toilet, and then cholesterol is the primary, hormone, the primary lipid, fat, that protects your brain. Okay, so what's going on with all these folks on these statins? What's their number one complaint?
Brain function.
Joint pain, yes.
Memory.
And memory. So joint pain is because what a statin does is it blocks ubiquinone. Anyone know the trade name for ubiquinone?
CoQ10.
CoQ10. Right. CoQ10 is the made in the mitochondria. Mitochondria are the powerhouses that make ATP. If you don't have ATP, you can't get out of bed. If you don't have ATP, you can't move your arm. If you don't have ATP, you can't repair your tissues and organs. You can't move your leg. You can't think. You can't pump your heart, okay? So you start taking away the ubiquinone, and the muscles that move your leg, they hurt now. And it hurts to think because you don't have any ATP. You've just killed it with statins. Okay? So what's the answer to patching those holes? Stop the inflammation. How do you stop the inflammation? Stop punching holes in your gut. How do you stop punching holes in your gut? Don't do this stuff. Okay? So, okay. So, that's, I hit to point 6. How are we on time? I see some eyes rolling in the back of heads, so I'm thinking I've saturated your neurons.
It's been so good, really good.
Going?
Yes.
Okay, what time was it? 8:02. Okay, is everybody good? If anyone needs to leave,
I do.
okay, go ahead. Thank you, Stanley, for coming. Appreciate it very
Yeah,
much.
thank you. I appreciate it.
Good. Well, I'll have you on the newsletter, and I'll be sending out charts so you can keep in touch.
Thank you.
Anyone else needed to leave? You gonna go? Okay, all right, good. Thank you. Okay, all right, so, here we go. Milk. Leading cause of ear, nose, throat problems. Why is that? Mucogenic, yes. So, and the first thing, when a mom brings in their child, and they're saying, oh, guess what, we got an appointment, we're gonna go get tubes in their ears. I'm like, okay, can you just do one thing for me? For 2 weeks, take them off milk.
Yeah.
Just 2 weeks. And then, it was the funniest thing. It just cleared up. I had to cancel his appointment. I'm like, great. That's one thing. Okay, so yes, very mucogenic. And this increases the risk for type 1 diabetes.
Tracy, I have a question.
Yes.
What about, when you say milk, that's a broad spectrum term. Okay, what about guys like us who drink
Goat's milk?
organic goat's milk and we're getting out of our own goats?
Yes. Much better alternative. First of all, look at it in just the, I said, look, you're raising a cow, which I don't know, how much does a cow weigh? A couple hundred pounds when they're born, and then they're going to get to be 1,500 pounds, right? Okay, so they've got hormones, in the mother's milk to help this little calf grow into a 1,500 pound. Okay, so the problem is all of these growth hormones that are in this cow are now you're drinking, and you don't want to be 1,500 pounds, right? Okay, so that's one of the problems. The other thing is that the milk is very specific for the amount of fat content and the type of hormones. You want a human's hormones and fat content to match with a human baby, all right? And the hormones that are transferred, you've got insulin from a cow, you don't want being transferred to a human baby. And that's what's happening, is that it's causing an immune reaction of, human. It's not, it's not transferable. So now you've got a crass reactivity that it's imprinting. Remember, your immune system is a memory system, and then it creates a memory from attacking the insulin from the cow, and it goes after the beta cells on the human pancreas. So now you've created an autoimmune disease from this cross-reactivity. So, that's not good. The other thing is this propaganda is that you can't get your calcium unless you drink milk. Oh my gosh. Okay, so what kind of, again, calcium are you getting in cow milk, except it's for a calf. It's not absorbable for human consumption. And in fact, you're blocking some calcium absorption of natural calcium. Where's the natural calcium that you're going to get? Okay, plants break down rocks. All right? Humans break down plants. If you take rock minerals and give them to humans, you get gallstones, atherosclerosis, kidney stones. Okay? So it's very specific for the type of calcium that you need to have. You need a plant-based calcium. So calcium carbonate, which is limestone, sidewalks. Not good for your bones. Okay? Okay. And you know, you look at the largest mammals on the planet. What are they? Whales. I didn't hear elephants. Elephants. What do they eat?
Plants.
Yes. Do they drink cow milk? No. No.
They seem to have strong bones.
And they have great bones. Yes. There's 200 times more absorbable calcium in broccoli than you'll ever get in milk. Okay.
Can you hear?
I know. Now I'm on a soapbox. I can feel my, you know, my preaching pounding going on. Okay. That's the story of the milk, and it just, you see all of these celebrities in the billboards. Got milk. Got milk.
Yeah.
I want to say got osteoporosis. You know, because that's what's going to happen. All right. Sugar. All right. Consumption has gone from 10 pounds per person to 175 pounds. And somebody's eating my share. Because I'm not eating 175. And Richard's
I'm
share.
sure it was me.
Say per day or per week or per month. That's per year. Per year, I
We've
hope.
got a confessor back here.
Okay.
It's higher in some people I know.
You're eating that much. There's
So
no tea.
sorry. I should probably leave now.
10 pounds per person. There's hope.
That's why I'm here.
But yes, there is hope. The gospel of nutrition. You're in the right place.
That's
And
why I'm
where-
here.
Most of our young people, where are they getting the majority of their sugar?
Pop.
Mhm. Exactly. Well, just drink diet. Good. I'm preaching to the choir here. I can tell. Yes, you don't want to drink diet. All of your artificial sugars create more insulin resistance than sugar. So it is a myth that diet foods are going to help you lose weight. They make you gain more weight because they're toxic. Okay? And your body, when it's under stress, these are my cliff notes for, I did a television spot today, and she wanted to know, why does stress make us fat? Okay, so that airs tomorrow on KLEW. But yes, cortisol is your stress hormone. And you have flight or fight because you were designed to run from the bear, you know, so you don't get eaten. But if your bear is traffic or your boss or your finances and you're running from the bear every day and then all of a sudden you've invited him in just to live with you, then you're under a lot of stress, and cortisol is telling your brain, and your epinephrine is telling your body that you need more energy because you're in big trouble. So you better eat, and you better start storing up because, man, you've really messed up. But again, now the bear's living with you, so you just keep eating. All right, so that's why stress makes you fat. All right.
What if the bear is a family member?
That's what I was kind of,
Then what?
Should I just leave now?
I know a good therapist. All right.
Usually not. They usually don't know.
And someone mentioned today, because it's a well-known fact too, if you take a mouse and you have cocaine or you have sugar, which one is it going to prefer?
Sugar?
Sugar. It's more addictive than cocaine, and it's more dangerous because it's everywhere. You can get it anywhere. Okay. And when you're dealing with people and food, you know, we have now altered the brain chemistry So it's very dangerous to mess with people in their diets. And it's also, you know, around the holidays. You know, it's about tradition, and it's about the way mom did it, and it's about, you know, the smorgasbord of taffy and divinity and, you know, all the stuff just because it doesn't feel like Christmas.
Green bean.
Exactly, but it starts with Halloween, the big sugar rush, okay? And then the immune system drops, and then the flu and the cold, and then we continue it on through the holidays. You know, and that's why we've got the majority of children in the daycares resistant to amoxicillin because they're on it 5 months out of the year. So we've created, you know, a real issue here. Okay. And again, and I keep going back to causes inflammation. And the brain, the nervous system, is the most sensitive to inflammation. You know, that is your brain. Hence, the epidemic we have going on in Alzheimer's. You know, you've got, how many people do you know on a statin that's stopping the mitochondria, that, you know, causing dementia, and gluten, you know, causing the leaky gut, causing the inflammation, causing dementia. So we're, you know, in trouble as far as we've got our spectrum of autistic children combined with now on the other end of the spectrum the autism, and a healthcare system that is supposed to pay for it. No, you're paying for it.
So who exactly is trying to kill us all?
Let's go down the rabbit hole all the
Yeah,
way.
follow the money. All I can say is follow the money. It's up to you. If you don't take personal responsibility for your own health, they're going to get you. So,
Tracy, could you
Yes.
say a word about the different kinds of sugars?
okay. Yes, and I think this is going toward the question of even fruit sugar. If you're sensitive to sugar, even fruit is an issue. So you've got fructose in fruit, you've got glucose in things like honey, you've got sucrose in cane sugars and in the majority of your other foods. And that sucrose is the primary sugar that's refined. So the refining of sugar is even more of an issue because it's not in its natural state. Now it's completely devoid of all minerals. And it's the minerals that are the buffers. Again, I hope you catch on to how important minerals are. Minerals as the nerve centers of your enzymes. Minerals as the buffers for your pH. Minerals, you know, as, you know, extremely important as your electrical system runs on minerals. And that's what refined food doesn't have, any of these minerals. Okay, so, you know, let's use the salt example. You know, I don't want to use brand names. Refined salt has no minerals, and it's white because it's bleached, okay? Refined salt will increase your blood pressure. Sea salt, on the other hand, has a complementary, or glacial salt, has a complement of minerals in it, and it's not bleached, and it will lower your blood pressure. So, yes, there's refined sugars, there's natural sugars. Natural sugars are going to be better for you. But if you have, of course, diabetes or weight issues, or you've got, you know, gut problems, or you've got yeast problems, that's greatly going to lower your ability to have any sugar, even fruit sugar. So, is that
Yeah,
covered?
thank you.
Okay. Okay. Now, and I need to back up just a little bit, because some of you may not know my history in this particular store. This was my first job at 16. I worked here, back there by that coffee thing, bagging bulk foods. And Richard, and truthfully, you know, he was ahead of his time, you know, back, what was that, 70-something, back then. And I was a sponge for this information. At 14, you'll have to read about it in my book someday. But it was basically kind of an enlightenment that I wasn't going to eat the way my family ate. I wasn't going to live the way they ate or lived. And my mother basically said, well, if you're not gonna eat this way, you need to buy your own food. You can have this corner of the refrigerator and this cupboard, and you might go to that health food store so you don't kill yourself. Make sure you know what you're doing. So I did. I came down here and got a job and just was a sponge for the information that Richard had. And 2 books that he recommended that altered the course of my life was Sugar Blues and Aerobics from, Dr. Cooper.
What was the other one?
Sugar Blues,
And,
the aerobic book by Dr. Cooper.
aerobic.
And I immediately started putting those into practice. I did a book report at LHS, Lewiston High School, LHS, on Sugar Blues. And the class looked at me like I had grown a third eye in my forehead. And I realized this is not real popular to be like this. So I was, an original geek before geeks became sexy and had their own sitcom. Big Bang Theorists. And the jogging, I put that into play too. I think I was the first person that jogged in Lewiston. Running, I just went halfway down the block, then the whole way down the block, then all the way around the block, and people stopped and stared. There she goes again. I remember one particular neighbor, Albert Getzinger. You may know the Getzingers. Now you know what part of Lewiston I was raised in. And he would yell at me in his thick German accent, "You got that much energy, come mow my lawn!" And that was, kind of the pioneering of natural health in Lewiston, and eating yogurt. I'll never forget that day. I think the bus driver stopped the bus because all the kids were gathered around me. Ooh, she's eating rotten milk. Oh God, she's gonna take another bite. Oh, and that was what it was like pioneering in this natural foods world. For some of the originals. So, but Sugar Blues, everything that's in that book, and this is why people looked at me so strange. No, that will never happen, because they said diabetes would be an epidemic, and all of these problems